Before we begin, this is a bit more of an advanced guide. If you are completely new to Mace PvP, I'd recommend watching Enchanter's Guide's tutorial. I recommend this guide if you have the basics of Mace already down, such as basic movement skills, fairly consistent breach swapping, able to dive bomb at least partially, and other things that would have you be around low tier 4 level or above. With that out of the way, let's begin. What is the reason you're actually losing fights? Well, we can analyze that. We'll first look at playstyle. If you are a heavily aerial player, you'll probably be dive bombing a lot, and the reason you could be losing often is because you miss hits. Instead of focusing on other things, try to improve your aim and timing when it comes to dive bombing, either by playing against people often or using a practice map such as Theobald, and you'll have significantly more consistent wins. Heavily ground players can struggle when fighting against an aerial player, and this tends to come down to survival. When newer players try playing ground, any semi-decent player will likely be able to dive bomb them and get an easy win. This is especially apparent against any opponent that can consistently counter your shield, so you should be more focusing on dodging and active movement to help with survival. Side note, the main strategy ground players use against aerial players is draining, but that's slightly more advanced. You can check my last tutorial if you want to know more about that. With playstyle finished, we move on to your actual mechanics and techniques inside Mace PvP. The most powerful techniques are ones you use to bypass shields, such as backstabbing or stun slamming, and this is something that keeps many players stuck under tier 3. Backstabbing is fairly easy to learn when done properly, but can also be quite situational and easily countered by simply turning around. Stun slamming is in general a better technique to be consistent with, and being able to elytra stun slam will let you easily kill the majority of players. This is especially where practice maps come in handy, so I highly recommend getting one and consistently practicing elytra stun slamming. When it comes to more ground oriented players, you have to make sure you are hitting breach swaps consistently and that you know how to use your shield. It is almost always preferable to keep your totem offhanded except in purely ground based fights where it's recommended to use it and have a more SMP like playstyle. If your opponent begins playing aerial, keep a totem offhanded or have one in your main hand until there is a ground fight. Lots of totem pops or kills also happen by complete surprise when a player isn't aware enough, making game sense an incredibly important skill to have in Mace. A general rule I like to use is to have my totem offhanded unless I can see exactly where my opponent is. If I know where they are, I can still offhand a shield and main hand my totem. If I don't, they could be coming from anywhere, and therefore it is safer to just offhand my totem for more free movement from my hotbar. These things I just explained are the most basic and straightforward steps towards improvement, and the techniques I'll be going over next are less frequently used and not as useful as some others, but they can be helpful. This next technique is something anyone can use and is what I believe is one of the most underused techniques in all of Mace PvP, bee hopping. You probably know what normal elytra bee hopping is, but if you don't, it's a method where you keep your camera angle mostly straight forward and spam the spacebar to gain momentum with your elytra. And you can look up to rapidly gain height as well when you have momentum, similar to how you would use a wind charge. You can do this both from starting on the ground or if you're already high up, and is insanely useful for conserving wind charges in a drain fight. Practicing this can help you save up to dozens of wind charges in an extended fight, so make sure you don't underutilize it. Another small side tip is to do with your inventory management. Your totem should be in the top middle of your inventory so you can instantly re-totem after popping to avoid any quick drops. I also personally make sure every resource I have to restock into my hotbar, like pearls, wind charges or golden apples, are all next to each other to make restocking faster. Beyond that, I have a final tip for improving at Mace, which you can actually apply to any game mode at all. When you do fights, record it, and afterwards rewatch the entire fight and know what mistakes you made. Every time you find a mistake, think of ways to avoid doing it in the future. Eventually, you will drastically improve your skill and will be able to win near any fight. You've watched this entire video, so it's pretty obvious you enjoy my content at least a little, so go ahead and subscribe, there's no reason not to. With all that being said, thank you for watching.